How's it going, everybody? Sessiion here. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV. This is just going to be a really quick guide and what to look forward to for the Moogle Treasure Trove Hunt for Mendacity event coming out this upcoming Monday, 24th. Usually what this also means is you have about 2 weeks from the launch of the Treasure Trove to the patch of 6.4 to come out to be able to do this content. There's a really helpful checklist I'm going to put inside of the description on this video so you can use it. It's basically going to be a really good just checklist for being able to pick out what you want, what you have. Shout out to Buzzman from Reddit for being able to kind of create that document. Really going to be helpful for you if you want to monitor what you have and don't have. And of course you have your rare items that you can get. Usually the Porksy earring is the earring is the one that they end up making the most expensive for 100 tomes. And it's also cycled between other things, so if you don't get this now, you might be able to get it later when the next treasure trove appears, but usually it kind of cycles in once in a while. But this is still the rarest thing to get for this trove, so definitely prioritize this first if you want to. Otherwise, everything else you can acquire is pretty much acquirable, but there is a grind or maybe not a grind to it. It's going to really depend on what it boils down to. So moving onward, they have you do objectives. You get the tombstones. You can spend them at the Moogles. The Moogles are always found in the main city states, so Gridania, Ul'dah, Limsa, so you pick your choice. You can just go ahead and do that. So again, April 24th is when it comes out. And you'll always know that the Moogle icon here is basically the indicator of hey, if you do this event, then you'll be able to get the tombstones. So for me personally, I always do MSQ roulette and PvP roulette just instinctively because MSQ roulette gives you a ton of XP depending on which one you get, but usually it always guarantees 30 to 50, even high 70% if you get Praetorium. So being able to do Praetorium is obviously a lot faster now, just because it's not the whole dungeon, including every instance that we had in the past. So now they've shortened this dungeon, so getting 7 tomes for this is actually pretty decent. Also, they made the near alliance raids from Shadowbringers the alliance raids to do in order to get tombstones. Now, the last two, Paradigm's Breach is the third one, Puppet Swiper is the second one. These are usually a bit longer just because there is, a cutscene, or it just kind of extends further. So if you do alliance raids and you do these, just be prepared because there's going to be 24 people trying to just go through this as fast as possible. And there are some mechanics you will have to learn just because you don't want to, sit there and be down the whole time. But I don't immediately recommend doing this unless you want to try and go for glam. I know that the Automata near alliance raid glam is top tier, so definitely worthwhile if you want to try and go for it. Also, if you do cycle into roulette for alliance raids, you'll be more likely to get these, so just keep an eye out for that. Of course, we have the Copy Factory. That's the first one of the alliance raids. This will be the more common one I think that people will be seeing if they do alliance roulette, so just keep that in mind. Additionally, PvP is going to be cycled into this too, which is always a really huge win because PvP, you can get so much out of it with a combination of getting experience. You can get poetics. If you're max level, you get the weekly tomes. You can work on your series level. You can get wolf marks if you're still doing the Garo gear. You'll also be able to work on all those achievements that they have for getting wins in these particular events for PvP. So doing PvP is also kind of a requirement in my mind in terms of doing it. Also, Hidden Gorge is the 24v24 man. It's different from the 72s because these are the ones with the mechs. People don't usually do this outside of Moogle Tombstone event, and this also doesn't have a roulette in it either. So you might be quick to skip this one, but this one does go by faster usually compared to the rest. But no matter what the case is, though, doing the Secure Shadow Seas or Danshing Nadam is always really helpful just because there's so many achievements tied to these. So definitely crack at that if you will too. That would be helpful. These are the Aromaborn post dungeons, except for Cashin. This is part of the main scenario roulette, so these will drop 4 totems. Tombstones rather. So I recommend that you can skip these. I do believe though people will try to figure out a blue mage speedrun group, if you will, in order to go through these. So just keep an eye out for Party Finder in case, because people will figure out ways to go through these dungeons very quickly. Usually tend to be pretty quick when you have a party gathered up, so just make sure that you can keep an eye out for that in Party Finder. And of course with the 3s we have Zamael, Second Temple of Kiarn, and Cutter's Cry. These are Aromaborn dungeons that are very popular and very common in leveling roulette. The fastest of the 3 I would say is Cutters, mostly because a lot of it can be skipped in terms of the in-between of the polls for the first and second boss. So you can do Cutters pretty quickly. Sunken Temple is also pretty quickly if you skip all the like the puzzle mechanics that are tied to this. Zamile can be fast, but if there is a lot of like heavy mob like just populated all over the place, so I think this is the slowest one, so I would recommend avoiding this one out of the 3. And then Porta is a trial tied to main scenario too, so if you get this in your main scenario roulette, then you can just go through this. This is also pretty helpful for getting XP and poetics and that kind of stuff too, so you know it'll be helpful for that. And then you have yourself the raids. Now, getting 2 tombstones for these are not terrible because you can either do them just naturally or you can do normal roulette. And of course, in a most case scenario, people end up doing Fist of the Father, which is the first Alexander raid. This is extremely quick, so it's really easy to go through. Cuff of the Father is A2, that's also very fast. Arm is a bit slower, but it's not too bad still, so you know you got to just work with what you got. It looks like all the Alexander raids, you know, 1 through 12 are used for the Mendacity tombstones. So you know, if you pick and get one, then go for it. I do recommend though, if you are gonna try and speedrun like the raid queue, queuing in for Cuff or Fist is either a tank or a healer is definitely your fastest move, just because the queue time for those are usually very, very common. And also same thing, if you have like a level 60 class and you want to do normal raid, then you'll guarantee get one of these fights if you have them unlocked. It'll also be helpful for being able to like get XP, some poetics, and you get the 2 tombstones. Lastly, you have yourself the weapon trials from Shadowbringers as well. So you've got, you know, you got Emerald over here, you got Diamond, you got Ruby. You might not run into these if you do like trial roulettes, so I would not, you know, if you get them, then that's good, you know, lucky you. If not though, then that's okay. These are also pretty extensive because they're all essentially 2-parter type raids. So you know, there's a phase 1 and phase 2 for this fight, phase 1 and phase 2 for this fight. This one technically has, I think it's 3 phases, but it's still a pretty extensive fight nonetheless. So getting these 3 in the trial roulette, not the most recommended, but if you do get them, it's not too bad. Again, you'll find the inherent Moogle in each city-state, so just keep that in mind. They're usually nearby where you can find the main Aetheryte, so it's just really helpful. The fastest one, of course, is Limsa. Gridania is also pretty quick too, so you know, you can pick and choose whichever one you want. And of course, you got all the exchangeable items you can get for doing it. The Porksy earrings, of course, is the newest thing we got for the tombstones needed through this event. So getting the 100, it's going to seem like a grind, and it will be, but this is definitely the #1 thing you can get. The Magitech Predator identification key is a mount you get from doing the Alamigo dungeon. Now, it is a low drop rate, and farming this is not required, but you know, again, you can get it if you somehow get Alamigo. That's like the final dungeon for like, you know, Stormblood in the moment dungeons. So this will always be available to acquire. It's not required for you to grind it for this, but if you do want to, you can. Exchangeable is based off of a fate that you can do anytime. Megalotragus is actually one of those mounts that I recommend you do get if you don't have this. Basically, you have to get, it's like 8,000 Skybuilder scripts. That's from the Firmament. That's going to require like a long grind. So I'm also pretty sure this is a tradable mount. So for sure, if you want to try to farm these 2 and hold on to these, if you have one and buy another one, I would recommend holding it because this will definitely get very expensive later on. A lot of these other things, let's see, the Longfall Orchestrion roll is from the Twinning, I believe. I believe it's a Twinning. That is a gosh, it's a Stormblood. Wow. Yeah, that's from a dungeon for sure. This is that really fancy ponytail hairstyle that you can acquire. This is from Heaven on High, so it's also recommended that if you, it's a drop rate, so again, you got to get like the coffers from Heaven on High's deep dungeon to acquire these. So I would recommend getting this too if you don't plan on doing that deep dungeon anytime soon. I know that Orthos right now is like the super grind. So if you want this hairstyle, you totally can. This will also get pretty expensive once the actual event closes and 6.4 comes out too. So I recommend getting this. This emote is the, I think it's the Insist emote. This is pretty similar to the mounts. They're both in the same kind of pool of acquisition. So if you want to get this, you can. I don't believe it's too expensive on the market board. So if you want to just buy this too, you can. You can totally buy it on the market board. So keep that in mind. Then of course you got time maps. You got all of the. You got this earring. This earring is acquired from the fates. There's like a fate I think you can get with this one. These are both beast tribe mounts. So I don't recommend getting these because these are always cycled into. So you probably already have these. Most of these whistles are all from the trials. The only one that's unique is the Nightmare Whistle. This is required, so you get it through basically either doing Garuda Titan or Ifrit Extreme after you acquire each one of those mounts in particular. This one has a chance to drop after you complete all 3. I recommend getting this if you don't want to try and go through the grind of getting the whistle through just like unsyncing it of Garuda or Ifrit. But because you can easily just farm that trial, not getting this whistle, again, it's always going to appear, so it's not required to get, but if you do want to get it, you can. It's not too big of a deal. White and Demonic Lantern are based off of Heavensward trials. The Kamui Fifes are based off of Stormblood trials. Reveling is from Susano. Blissful is, oh man, what's her name? Let me test the metal right now. Lakshmi, there we go. So there's that. You got furniture. Again, all the furniture here can be acquired. It's just a matter of doing it through just content that we have in general. The Platinum card is also usually the very popular choice after you get everything you want on the upper level scale of items you'll get. And then of course you have the Bone Wicca set here. This set is essentially from the Swallow's Compass, or you can get it with Company Seals. So you can pretty much get these as you want to. I think the more popular one is the Whisperer's Jacket because it's essentially very like similar to the Cloud of Darkness kind of. So I know that's one popular item you can get. And then you have all the writing maps. These are not really too big of a deal because everyone's flying when they beat the game. You have yourself the cards, which shout out to the collectors. The Wind Up Succubus, the Black Hayate. Both of these minions are very cheap and also really easy to get. It's not too bad. And you do discussion rolls, and then of course you have the Job Mastery Magic Prisms. And that's pretty much it. So, my recommendation, like I said, going through this, if you just want to try and... You're going to find definitely a lot of parties that are going to be trying to farm these just in PF in general. So they'll be doing either, like, the Father Raids from Alexander. You're definitely going to be doing some of these dungeons. These dungeons will be pretty quick to do with Blue Mage, for sure. Doing main scenario roulette will be the key. Absolutely, because of just the amount of resources you can get for like your leveling up your classes. And then PvP is always a given just because you get so much stuff out of it if you do queue into the roulette. And that's pretty much it. So, have fun, look forward to it. 6.4 is right around the corner. It's going to be so exciting. I can't wait to get into the new raids. And yeah, like I said, I'll put a link in the description for a checklist you can use. It's pretty easy to just copy and, make a duplicate for yourself. Again, shout out to the creator for that, and yeah, have fun and look forward to the next batch.